We are back in my garage. My tiny little garage. Oh, Lord. Okay. I think it's been probably 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks since I posted the last video. The last video, I think it has spark, where I was cranking it over and verifying that the coils were working. And now there's no intake on it. If you don't follow me on Facebook or some of the other platforms, you probably didn't see the videos that I uploaded of why there's no intake on this engine. What happened is I got it mostly wired to where the thing will run and start, and I was doing my preliminary checks, and we were going through the fuel system, making sure there was no leaks and everything, and come up here to the fuel rail, and the injector for let me see what cylinder it was. I want to say it was cylinder 6 was leaking, which would be the third one back on this side. It was leaking around the top O-ring of the injector rail. In fact, I have them sitting right here. Oh, it was this little son of a bitch. It was leaking around the top. So I thought, well, maybe, I nicked the O-ring. It's possible, So I lube them. You always want to lube injector O-rings when you put them in. But after putting the new ones in, it leaked worse. 3 out of the 4 started leaking. So I ended up wasting an entire Saturday trying everything. We tried everything. I modified the rail brackets, thinking maybe the holes weren't right, so I could move it to make the injectors more aligned with the bore they set in. Didn't fix it. Opened the hole up inside the rail, thinking maybe the injector was bottoming out on that instead of crushing the O-ring, which it was, but that didn't fix it. So I gave up, pretty pissed off, about ready to light this thing on fire that Saturday. I think I spent about 6 hours trying to get these damn O-rings and injectors to seal. And on the way home, I just got to thinking. I was like, man, my goal eventually is to turn the boost up on this thing, 25 plus PSI on it. 30 PSI, and I don't want to be risking burning my shit to the ground because of those junk ass fuel rails. A couple people have asked me what fuel rails these are, and they don't even have a brand name. I don't know if you can see it in my dark ass garage here. You probably can't. They just got an emblem on them. They are just eBay specials. I think the whole kit was like $180. It came with the crossover, which, the crossover is not bad. It's PTFE. I don't know about the fitting quality. You can see this one's already pretty marred up from putting it on and taking it off about 400 times. It came with the fittings, and it came with a gauge. But I definitely would not recommend those. Stay away from those. They are designed just for the Trailblazer SS. So on the way home, I got to thinking, like I said, I don't want to burn my shit to the ground. So that meant I was going to have to change the intake, because the stock Trailblazer SS rails are 3/8. And for my eventual power goals, those will just become a bottleneck. They just can't flow enough fuel to keep the engine fed. So that meant having to change the intake. Well, there's 1,000,001 intakes out there, but the problem is the ones I wanted wouldn't fit under the hood. I wanted the Holley high ram, or I wanted the mid ram. Now the mid ram, there's back and forth on it whether it's that good of an intake or not. I hear people say it's not that good of an intake. But ended up going back and forth on it. I even looked at the Holley Sniper, the race version, And the problem is with like the Holly High Ram is I don't have enough room from here to there for it because I think at its highest it's like 12 inches. I'm pretty sure it's like a foot and it would hit back there. Plus, not to mention when it comes down, it puts the throttle body like right here. So I would be totally screwed on my charge pipe. I'd have to make another damn charge pipe, and I don't really want to do that again. So, like I said, I was looking at the Holly Sniper race. They have a Holly Sniper, a cheaper version, which is just basically a Chinese intake with supposedly a little better QC and a Holly name slapped on it. But it's still the thin aluminum, and I've heard that they do buckle around when you put boost on them. So I was ready to pull the trigger on the race version of the Sniper, which is like $500. Then you got to buy the rails, which is like $150 or something like that. And then my buddy Tim messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm a BTR dealer. What about this intake?" And I completely fucking forgot about it. The Brian Tooley Racing reverse plenum equalizer 1 intake. I'll post a picture of it here for the video. And what they did with this intake is pretty ingenious. It's designed for low hood clearance like Corvettes and Camaros and Firebirds. So it's real low profile, but they basically took like a Holly High Ram with the upper plenum and flipped it and put the plenum underneath the base. So you still got a plenum and you still got the long runners, but you've got it in a more compact package. And there's a slit that runs down the bottom of the base, and it helps the airflow. I'm not that smart, so there's people out there smarter than me can describe the actual principles of why it's superior. So he cut me a deal on it. I couldn't refuse, and I ordered it. Still waiting on it. They had some production issues. Suppose they're going to start shipping it. I want to say next week. They definitely are going to be shipping it before the end of the month. So I should see it before the end of the month or early January. It depends where my name's on the list. I can't wait to get it. It's definitely a badass piece. It'll put the throttle body. Here, let me grab my throttle body. Oh. Should put my throttle body like right about here-ish in that ballpark. And that'll still work just fine. My cable will still work, and I should still be able to use my bracket that I got from Skog and Dickey. I should be able to use that. My charge pipe is too long, but luckily it's too long down on the bottom, so I can take that and just take it out and cut a couple inches off, put another bead on the end of it, put it back together, and we should be good. So it'll move it down. It'll still clear the water pump, and it should still clear everything else. My fuel line should all still clear. I did order the rail kit for it, the Dash 8 rails, so I'm pretty sure that crossover off of the eBay fuel rails, that should still work on with those. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Before I tore it apart that Saturday, I was pretty pissed off. And there's my phone blowing up. But I was pretty pissed off, so I wanted to hear this thing run. So like an idiot, because by this point there's gasoline just pooled on top of the valley cover. It's ran down the bell housing, and it's all over the shop floor. Because with that 4303 pump back there, it moves a massive amount of fuel, way more than a stock pump. So it didn't take long. You just barely hit it, and the pump just barely turns over, and it's spraying fuel everywhere like a garden hose. So, but like an idiot with a plastic intake with fuel everywhere and an unknown tune that, just still very rough. I haven't messed with it at all, really. Gave it a shot of starting fluid, hit the key, and she fired up, and it sounds nasty. That Brian Tooley Stage 3 twin turbo cam from Little John Motorsports. That thing sounds badass. Um, it definitely is going to sound good. I'm not quite sure that it's going to hold the sleeper status. I think if I pull up at a stoplight next to somebody, it's going to be pretty obvious. But it definitely should be fun. So, cannot wait to get that. Let's see here. This is the Trailblazer SS intake right here, all packaged up with the factory rail. This is going to go to up in northern Ohio. Guy's buying that. In fact, I'm going to meet him tomorrow for that. As far as in the truck, haven't done much, to be honest with you. So just getting more of the, it's so damn dark in here. Getting more of the wiring done. I'm getting ready to order the painless wiring. I think it's called, what the hell is it? Track something. Their new negative ground switch panel. They got a whole system that uses negative ground ground activated relays instead of running power everywhere like a regular switch panel does. You're actually switching the ground on the relay, which is a safer way to do it. It's a lot cleaner way because you don't have to have all the wires, all the power running to the switches and from the switches and all that. You can just have a single ground. I'm not going to use their relay kit because I don't need it. I got the relays already wired up in the truck. I got the panel made. I don't want to have to remake all that. But I am going to use the switch panel. And I have an idea in the works that I'm drawing up for a mounting solution for the switch panel that I think is going to be pretty badass that I haven't seen anybody else do. Definitely nobody in the Dakota world has done it. Dakota world. But it should be pretty slick. I did originally intend to use this panel, this ABS panel, as my switch panel. Instead, I think I'm going to mount 3 gauges in there. Definitely going to have a ton of gauges. Can never have too many gauges. So stay tuned for that. I'm getting ready to order my Bosch 210s from VS Racing. I need to order my micro squirt transmission controller. Speaking of gauges, I need to order the rest of the gauges for the dash. I need to order the LED indicators. It's going to have your left and right turn signals, a blue indicator for the high beams, and then what I'm doing is I'm putting 2 super bright half-inch LEDs, one in each corner of the display, and they're going to be tied into the shift light. So when the shift light on the tack goes off and it goes off on the digital display, it'll still flash. It'll also flash the red LEDs in your face, so you can't miss it. And I'm thinking about wiring up. Paintless actually makes a half-inch diameter check engine light, amber check engine light. Think about putting that in there because if I remember right, the current firmware has the ability to activate a check engine light if there's an issue. So that might be kind of cool, kind of geeky, right up my lane. Getting ready to put the order in for the 9-inch Ford rear end. Had a stupid idea though. I already have a drive shaft. It's back there buried. That drive shaft has maybe 3,000 miles on it. So I'm thinking, why don't I take that drive shaft, take that Turbo 350 yoke off, get a 4L80 yoke on it, and take it and have it shortened because I need to cut, I want to say it's about 6 inches off of it. I can't remember. Have it cut down, put it in here, and do some fucking burnouts, and we'll see exactly what that little 8-inch rear end will take. Of course, we're going to have to link and lock the gears, weld the spider gears. Otherwise, it's just going to be one wheel peel. But I think we're going to do that just for some crazy burnout videos, and we'll see exactly what it can take before it lets go. I don't think it's going to take that much personally. I think detuned on just a mild tune, I think this motor is going to be 500-600 horse pretty easily. So I don't think that rear end's going to live long. Some people say it's going to take a lot more than I expect. Some people predict it'll take 800 horse. So I don't think so. I think it'll snap an axle or just shear the pinion or something stupid. I do have a drive shaft safety loop in it, so we're at least covered on that aspect. But I think I'm going to do that. It'll be pretty cheap and it'll be fun. I'm not going to be tearing up anything I plan on keeping because the whole rear suspension's coming out from under it. Going with a quick performance Ford 9-inch with 35 spline Moser axles. It's going to have a spool, the billet pinion support, dual wheel pattern flanges. I'm not sure what brake package I want to put on it yet, but I want dual calipers. I want, or at least the ability later down the road to put dual calipers on it. So, gonna have 5x5 and probably 5x4.5 pattern on it. So if I want to, I can switch. That way I can pretty much run any wheel I want. I really want to put welds on this thing. Welds on the rear, and then the Viper spares up front. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Thanks for watching.